Alright, so when creating a Google form, again, simply go to Create, Form. Now it's going to ask you for some sort of theme to it. You can do a default one, you can make something pretty, something that matches your content. For today's, we're just going to use magazine. Hit OK, it's going to come up, and then you will see you get the untitled form. We're going to call this one Mini-conference practice form. Alright, now when you look, you'll see there's different types. You can do the question itself through multiple choice, which is the default usually. There's paragraph text, check boxes, choose from a list. Then all you math people, we can get into scale, grid, date and time, but the scale and the grid might help some of you math people. But I'm usually using either paragraph text, the multiple choice, or the check boxes. We're going to do a multiple choice here, just something simple. What is this conference about? And luckily built in a spell check, thank you. Now when you go to multiple choice, you have option 1. We can say, let's say Netflix. You can just use the tab a lot of times. We'll go to the next one. Google Drive, hit tab again. SkyDrive and iPads. I guess we should put that together, right? Small I. So you make that a required question, which is important because you got to make sure. If not, they can skip it. One of the things by making a required question is that you can make sure that they cannot submit the form until they have answered every question. After that, you hit done. Boom, you have a question. Now, you can move it around if you put another one in there, so on and so forth. Alright, so as we look, you'll see where it says choose destination response. What this is going to do is this is going to create a spreadsheet, and we'll explain how that spreadsheet is important when it comes down to some of that instant feedback. But you can title it, put an existing. I always do a new spreadsheet just to keep them separate. Now as I get going here, you can start putting in different kind of questions. One of the things you're going to look at is we're going to view the live form in a second. But to kind of make sure we know who they are, as you see our first question, if you look at the live form, it's going to show us here in theory. Alright, this is what the students would see. And like I said, I did a very normal one. You say, what is this conference about? And Netflix, Google Drive. Hopefully we chose Google Drive. That, and you hit submit. But what I want to go back and show you first, one of the first things that I try to do here, and that I always forget in the beginning, but again, the great thing about all this is that you can add it right back, is I want to add an item. I'm going to do a text, and the title of the question simply is just going to be your name. Make it a required. Next one I like to add to always is their ACS email address. And again, required. There you go. And then you can move it above that original question. ACS above the original question. And you can always look back too and tell if your questions are, you made sure you'd hit the required just by looking over at a glance, because it'll have that little red asterisk there, and that means that you are requiring that question. Now for fun, let's just add one more. I'm going to do another multiple choice, and I'm going to say, what is this Google app called that you are using? Okay, again, document, drawing, form, presentation. Okay, again, you want to require it, hit done. Now, one of the things you can do here too is your confirmation page. That's when they send it in. You can say something like now go to your next session. Thank you for your participation. Alright, now let me show you what the live form looks like. Again, you hit this. I'm going to go in here. I am going to put my name, ACS email address. I'm just going to use my .K12. If I could spell. And I'm going to answer the questions. What is this conference about? It is Google Drive, ladies and gentlemen. For everybody in the back, what is this Google app called that you are currently using? It is called a form. Now, here's where you just go to submit. This is what's going to pop up. Mini-conference practice form. Now go to your next session. Thank you for your participation. Now, when it says submit another response, you can get rid of that right there if you want to. That way, it's one shot, one kill. They're getting one shot at it. This is especially good for maybe a ticket out the door right before they're shutting down their laptops, where they can just send it in real quick and then you can get that instant feedback. But okay, here's the fun part. Now we're going to look at, if you go back to this right here, remember we had a destination response. Oh, let me title this bad boy. I'm just going to call it a practice form, if I could spell. So, we're going to go to our Google Drive. Now, it's always going to be where you last clicked it. So I put it here on my drive, so it just kind of showed everything. But I'm going to go to recent. And in my recent should be the practice form responses and the practice form. Thank you, Ms. McLeod. You'll have your responses. Now, when you look at this, it's got the time I did it, name, what's the conference about, form, my answers. Okay. So now you see we've had a couple more participants, Bob Marley and George Bush Jr. So, how are we going to grade this? This is the fun part. You have to add something called a script. Script is easy to find. I'm going to show it to you right now. And it will instantly grade it for them based on one of these right answers. Like I'll use mine as the right answer to grade all the other tests. And then you'll be able to email it to them with the results. Love it. Let me show you how this works. So you're going to go to Tools. Let's go to Script Gallery. Now, there's a way to do scripts that I'm not familiar with. Talk to some other people. But there's plenty that are already put into Google for you. And my favorite, by far, is Flubberoo. That's right, Flubberoo. I think that's with two O's, my friends. Let's see. Alright, now, anytime you make a new form, you're going to have to install this every time. But again, hey, it does a lot for you. So I'm hitting installed. It is now installed. Needs my authorization to run. I'm going to say yeah. It started bringing this up recently, but that's fine. So, it is now installed. I hit close, and if you look up top beside help, there is now Flubberoo. Now, Flubberoo, we're going to grade the assignment. This is fun. Watch this. Alright, step one. It sometimes will pick up default there. It knew that the email address and the name identify students. Then you can count however many points. Off. You can skip grading it for some reason. Whatever. But we're going to go with this. It identifies the name of students. ACS email address identifies students. 1 point, 1 point. So, hit continue. Step 2. You got to choose who do you want to grade this as far as the right answers. I always, before I give the test, I go ahead and take the test. So I use myself. Go to continue. Now, it does it quite quickly when there's only 3 people. You get about 170 kids, it takes a minute, but it still literally probably takes a minute. Now, here we go, we can view grades. You'll see that Bob Marley was 100%. He submitted it 1 time. He got number 1 right and number 2 right. George Bush Jr., oddly enough, he missed them. So, what's next? Well, you go to Flubberoo again up here up top, and you can email grades. It's running the script, you'll see it. Takes it a second as always, but still. Patience is a virtue. You can include the answer key. You can include a message to the students. It'll by default pick up that word email and put it to the email address. For some reason you wanted to do it differently, you can. But the ACS email address works just fine. Include a list of questions and scores and include the answer key. You don't have to. You don't have to. It's all depend on how you want that feedback. Put your private message, a message to them. Say each one counted 50 points off. Now, continue. And you will see this badge. 2 grades were successfully emailed. Now, if anyone has those email addresses, they just got an odd email, but that's okay. Now, still not done. We can go here, if you go to form, you can go to summary of responses. 3 people, gives you their email address, and again, this top part here will get a little thick when you're emailing a lot of students at one time, but still, it's great. So we got what was the conference about. You had 2 for Google Drive and 1 for Netflix. Gives you a nice little pie chart and everything. What is this Google app called that you are using? 2 said form, 1 said drawing. Then you have at the bottom a little daily bit of responses. But the key to this is that you're getting data, you're getting instant feedback, and not only are you getting instant feedback for yourself, but for them too. I mean, these kids are chomping at the bit a lot of times to get to their email address to see what's going on. Did I pass? How did I do? I'm like, it'll be there, it'll be there. And it's an excellent tool. Google Forms, I recommend it for anybody. Again, it doesn't matter what your content area is. It is a great tool, and this is something that you should be able to take back to the classroom tomorrow.